afternoon. Welcome to the third edition of Manufacturing Today's webinar on ensuring business continuity through workforce management strategies. Technology is best when it works for people. With major disruptions happening in multiple industries, no company is too big to have a rug pulled from under it. It's no longer about the big eating the small, but it is now about the fast eating the slow. Theme of today's webinar is leveraging digital innovation to empower employees and optimize business. Allow me to introduce our esteemed panel today. We have with us Rohit Gupta, who is the head Technology Center for Data Analytics and Software Engineering with ThyssenKrupp India. Mr. Ashok Muthuswamy, who is a VP with TAFE. Mr. Sushil Deshpande, who is the Senior General Manager of Manufacturing Dadra and Wada Plants from Blue Star. Mr. Rajesh Kumar Nandwani, who is the Director of Wiring Devices PU from Panasonic. Mr. Uday Vora, who is the Head Pre-Sales Operation from UKG, and Samir Rankara, who is the Pre-Sales Consultant from UKG. May I ask each one of you to introduce yourself in a few words. Mr. Rohit Gupta, please.
Thank you, Sujata. It's a pleasure to be here. And I'm Rohit Gupta. I've been in the technology sector for 23 years, working with ThyssenKrupp for the last 3 years in the area of data analytics and software engineering. This is a captive center like many other organizations working on cutting edge technology products and services with the idea of co-creation along with global teams from India.
Thank you, Rohit. Mr. Muthuswamy.
Hi, thank you, Sujata. Hello, everyone. I am Ashok Muthuswamy, and I head enterprise-wide business excellence program with TAFE with multiple plans and multiple business functions.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me on the panel. I'm Sushil Deshpande. Presently, I'm working with Blue Star Limited in the capacity of head of manufacturing for 2 of our plants. Prior to that, I have around 35 years experience in the manufacturing field itself. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Rajesh.
Hi, good afternoon all. So myself Rajesh Nandwani, and I'm working with the Panasonic Life Solutions India as Director of Wiring Device Business. My total work experience is more than 28 years, and I'm with Panasonic for last more than 11 years. Currently, I'm responsible for business management of the main business, which is the switch and socket we call. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Rajesh. Uday.
Hi, thanks Sujata and Manufacturing Today for having me in the panel today. My name is Uday and I work for UKG, which stands for Ultimate Kronos Group for last about 12 years and overall in the industry for about 27 plus years. Thank you.
Hi, Samir.
Hi everyone, very good afternoon. My name is Samir Ranpara. I am part of Ultimate Kronos Group as a part of pre-sales team, and I have been with the organization for about 3 years now. And overall, from past 12 years, I have been working in the techno-functional sector, providing business solutions to diverse set of customers. Thank you for having me here, and looking forward to an engaging interaction.
Thank you, everyone. Now let's get into the crux of this webinar. Theme for today's webinar is leveraging digital innovation to empower employees and optimize business. So my first question is to Rohit. Any and all industries are susceptible to digital disruption. How digital innovation can be turned inward to drive workforce productivity and engagement and to accelerate time to market and reduce operating costs?
Thank you for the question, Sujata. I think disruption as a word is often viewed through a negative lens. But in my opinion, this is one of the greatest opportunity of its times for the companies and their customers. And to quote, really, I'm now going to read it from Clayton Christensen, father of disruptive innovation theory. Disruption eventually comes to every organization in every industry. But before it becomes a threat, it's also an opportunity. As we see latest technologies such as artificial intelligence, machine learning, analytics, automation, robotics, or should I say advances in these technology areas have the potential to act as a force multiplier for a company in their quest to really differentiate themselves and stay ahead of the competition. And when we talk about staying ahead of the competition, we are really talking about organizational performance, which is dictated by the 3 P's, the 3 key elements. First one is purpose. So what sets the scene for the business? what is the reason for doing something? Loosely put, I would say, what are the products, services, and offerings that a business sets out to offer to their customers? Second important P is the people. So when I say people, it's the workforce, the employees, the vendors, the customers. People are an important element because they translate this purpose into action, from strategic planning to execution to delivery of the product. And third P is the processes, which is really the steps that people take to take the purpose to realization. Now, when we talk about putting digital innovation inward, we are really thinking in terms of how digital technology can help improve the workforce productivity and business performance, and really create a unified and consistent experience for the second P, which is people, in terms of accessing systems, data, services, and applications, and pushed by pandemic, I would say, from anywhere. Really changing the definition of workspace also. So employees of today, we know, means we all of us as users, we are avid users of technology in our personal life, and that's a reflection on also what we expect from work. Today, our usage of technology is driven by seamless user experiences. More and more companies are driving customer centricity, whether we look at Netflix, whether we look at Amazon's, and all these services are accessible through internet on any device. And this is now also changing the behaviors of the workforce because they have similar expectations when they come to office. I think when I use the word office, I think I should clarify I'm using it loosely. So the place from where they work. And when we talk about workforce productivity, to me, productivity is always linked to the employee morale and motivation. So what does an employee really expect from work? They want to remain informed, stay connected, be heard of, collaborate faster, and at the same time, they should be able to work from anywhere. Means usually when you used to talk about workplace, office used to come in the mind because there was a physical boundary. But today, the workplace could be my home, could be a cafe where I'm sitting and working, or the office as it used to be before the pandemic. Let me now quickly come to four aspects that I think are good examples of how digital innovation can enhance workforce motivation and productivity. I think the bigger focus, as I said, because people are so used to technology, it's about what employee journey and experience an organization is able to create using technology. So it's about integrating applications that are built to operate in a way users prefer to work. So earlier, we used to have applications and used to train users to work on those applications. I think now this is a 180-degree shift where you have applications available which users are comfortable to work with. There's a thin line, but that's the big change. And secondly, I think implementing automations that remove repetitive and redundant tasks. For instance, automating the onboarding process can enable faster onboarding of new employee. Another example, practical example I can take is think about the number of minutes lost and impact on employee morale when a new employee is coming and he's spending 5 minutes to get through the security gate, 5 minutes to get his ID card. And this is not something new, but I think a couple of years ago, this still was the process as I've seen it. And now think about technology changing this experience where already the systems are connected. There is a camera on the door near the security gate, and the person, as soon as the machine vision identifies the person, is able to link what's the joining date and is able to give him a digital pass to enter and move seamlessly in the premises. Not just the number of minutes that are saved if you aggregate it for large organization. I think it's again about the experience. Second is seamless access means, so I think organizations need to migrate. Most organizations in some form are embracing cloud, but it's really is with the purpose that access from anywhere with the purpose of delivering a consistent experience. Third, according to me, is enhanced collaboration. So portability of data and use of real-time collaboration tools to make decisions will improve workforce productivity. And lastly,
Okay.
but not the least, is enabling robust decision making through analytics, boosting efficiencies and eliminating unnecessary costs. The employees can leverage these outcomes to make better decisions because success is imperative. Means I will use an example here. Few years ago, you would go to a monument, you would make the picture of the monument. Today, you will see it's the person who's making a selfie is part of that picture. So it's the I is important. The individual success is equally important.
Thank you,
So
Rohit.
yeah, okay.
Coming to you, Mr. Muthuswamy, does the current workplace support the evolving work of technology and the workforce required to complete it? How will it need to be redesigned to sustain the evolution of technology?
I mean, it's the whole thing is the evolution. Even the question itself, you were saying evolve. So change, to state the obvious, change is the constant phenomenon, and we do not have choices around evolving our practices or processes or technologies to manage disruption. And see, changes, while they are painful, they also bring significant benefits. And see, you may not necessarily have a roadmap for these things. You just need to have a compass, which is your purpose, vision, mission, and you need to develop the roadmap as you go and do a lot of course corrections. There is no any fixed path to have a plan. See, in our organization, TAFE, we have programs in place to embrace change continuously and ride the wave, the change, not being a victim, but really being a benefactor of the change. We have programs called, whether it's world-class manufacturing, where we are focusing on several pillars of excellence, like safety, productivity, quality, and cost. And similarly, how do we constantly find what are the future needs in terms of employee capabilities? What are the transformation requirements and performance requirements? What are the skill gaps? And how do you constantly identify programs and how do you identify building blocks so that all these gaps can be plugged? So that's actually, you have to do very, very constantly and you have to stay on top of it. So that's the only way how you can manage change. And COVID taught us a lot. It helped us to become agile. All the companies, this whole digitalization or even the preparedness for change, everything, it all become a lot more robust. So that, it really got us out of our safety or comfort zone. And I think we need to continue with the journey. So that's my answer. Thanks, Sujata.
Okay. Mr. Rajesh, so the next question is for you. Applying new technologies can free employees from the tedious and the repetitive tasks and enable them to perform higher value work. So how are you adapting these technologies in your workplace?
So, Sujata, I strongly believe that technology that benefits and transforms lives, that will stay forever. For post-pandemic, we have seen if the technology was not there, how it would have been difficult to cope with this pandemic. So the internet has really become essential for our daily existence, be it work, home, education, or socialization. So it is equally imperative that we carefully consider use of technology,
Sure,
understand
sure.
it,
Yeah, I will respond. Thanks a lot.
and exercise this decision judicially. So there's a lot of buzz around automation and AI-enabled tools stepping in to handle tasks that people otherwise would do. So what is important here is to embrace technology in a manner that results in better outcomes and productivity. So the question of AI or automation beginning as threat to humans because they have the same kind of capabilities is not true. Yes, AI machines are fast, can do repetitive work more accurately, but when it comes to imagining, sensitization, and creativity, I feel they do not have such an approach. So human monitoring is crucial because the humans who have invented AI require oversight from other humans. And these humans will require the necessary training and understanding of the technology used in managing business operations. So while technology can take the lead on repetitive tasks, professionals are focusing on essential activities such as enabling new and innovative new products to the market, be increasingly effective in addressing customer problems for successful results. So my opinion, behavioral intelligence combined with AI can act as a guide for customers. They both can complement and may not necessarily compete what you feel. So human beings still drive cognitive decisions, and technology alone cannot be relied upon to solve all the problems of the customers. So the awareness of this aspect can be created when it is talked more in technology, discussions meeting, showcasing results with AI change, empowering humans with more creative jobs which they would not have got when doing the repetitive tasks. So in end, I will say I strongly believe that both complement each other.
Thank you, Rajesh. Now, Mr. Deshpande, when we talk about technology, it's all about data that we
Yeah.
deal with. So success no longer depends upon how much data you can collect, but on how quickly you can analyze and act on that information. So how are you using this information to optimize the business operations and to drive meaningful outcomes?
Yeah, so basically what we are doing is we are using this information or data in two verticals to harmonize our business operations and at the same time achieve customer satisfactions of both internal and external customers. So the first vertical is intra-company. So that is particularly between in the all our manufacturing plants the first go. And second thing is end-to-end business operations within our company, that is Blue Star. The second vertical, I would say, is the intercompany that is built basically with our suppliers and with our customers. So this data flows seamlessly between suppliers and our organizations and the customers and our organization. So if we look at it, how the data in our manufacturing plant is being used and what benefit it is giving to us, then it is basically the real-time data which gives us basically confidence that operations are running as per plan, or we need to have certain modifications or certain alteration done because the data is readily available and because it is sustainable data, it gives you a clear indication that you need to either sustain or you need to either alter. The second one is then various analytical tools we use with the help of by computing this data, which helps us in our predictive maintenance, energy conservation, OE, that is overall equipment efficiency. And then we also use it to determine some of our training needs also, both on the job training as well as the behavioral personality development trainings also by using this data. We also monitor COPQ, cost of poor quality, through this data, and which has given us very good inputs. And we have taken up a lot of projects to work on, and which has helped us to almost bring down the COPQ by 50% in the last couple of years. Now, one more thing is it provides us the dependable input to build the sales forecast from the sales side within company, and also helps us in better SNOP, that is sales and operational planning. The last one I would say is basically the data which flows between our customers on one side and on suppliers on other side. So this real-time data and the data which is getting flown between suppliers and between customers always give you the real-time inputs and always give you a confidence that the operations are running in a good way. So that is my submission at this point of time. Thank you.
Uday, coming to you, how do we set up teams to be successful in a digital world?
Oh, yes. Thanks, Sujata, for this question. So, see, I think that in the digital world, team is considered to be really success. If they are able to monitor their KPIs and continuously improve using the technology tools, and then should be able to meet their KRS. Now, let me give an example of operational team. See, for operational team, they become successful when they're able to meet their production target, isn't it, with an optimized resource and within the allocated budget. But as we all know that, due to unwanted any circumstances, there is always a variability in terms of demand. And because of that, there is always a change in the production plan and workload requirement. So how do we ensure with the technology tool that operation is successful? In spite of having all these constraints, if a tool can help us deploy the right skilled employee at the right job at the right time, then that tool and the operation team is expected to be successful. Not only that, the operation team should be able to optimally utilize all the employee types and create a universal team, whether it is a full-time employee, part-time employee, gig employee, contract employees. And that's where operation is successful in terms of planning. Now, operation also will be successful whenever there is no first hour productivity loss. I mean, with the technology tools, it should not only help with the real-time visibility, but I would say that the tool should be able to find out the best fit replacement at a shift start so that operation can start producing the required quantity at a shift start immediately. Now that's as far as operation is concerned. We know that in today's world, like HR and IR team works hand in hand with operation. But for HR and IR team to be successful, their main focus is that whether the employees are being treated equally and fairly. And HR also wants to ensure that there is enough flexibility is provided in terms of processes. Employees are being given preferences and they are being considered while rostering for their better work-life balance. For IR, it is extremely important and they will be successful only if there is a compliance risk which gets mitigated and minimized by keeping the perspective of laws of land for each states. As far as IT is concerned, Sujata, I feel that as long as the tools deployed is secure, scalable, integrable, and maybe let's say if it can meet the business requirement of the company, then IT is successful. And finance is normally successful when a tool has helped control the cost and achieve a quick ROI on the technological investment. So that's where I think that in digital world, using the right set of tools, it will set up a teams for the success.
Thanks, Uday, for that insight. Coming back to you, Rohit, Uday was mentioning about the technology and the business part of it. So how can technology and business leaders come together, strategize, design, collaborate, and succeed in this journey?
Traditionally, technology leaders were more looked upon as providing internal service to different departments, right? But this has changed in the last 5 years. So not recently, last 5 years or 10 years, this has seen a radical shift. Companies have realized that technology is pivotal to innovation and product development. And really business leaders are now realizing that there is a strong need to work with technology leaders within the company as true partners to create real success. And the question arises why it became pivotal, right? And I think my fellow panelists gave some of the answers, but firstly, I think the complexity of operating business in today's world and the factors affecting decision making. So typically, the fusion of physical and digital world has sort of blurred the boundaries. The value chains have mixed with each other. And this is impacting the traditional value creation models. Secondly, I think there was a question about data. So means immense amount of data and analytics that can be applied to it to make informed decisions is going to give a chance to stay ahead of the disruption we talked about. And I think third aspect was also covered by the panelists is customer empowerment and customer centricity. So with the evolution of technology, the customer preferences in terms of visibility on what I will be getting, when I will be getting it, also in terms of the look and feel, they are changing rapidly. And lastly, I think I would say this, to deal with volatility, you have to deal it with speed. So time to market. And also I would add that technology has sort of leveled the playing field. So means if you look at, there are low barriers of entry for companies. So Baidu entering the automotive space from being an internet service provider is making it really important for business and technology leaders to come together and develop a transformation agenda, if I were to use that word. When we think about it, so I would just take some steps. I think really it's important to relook at the strategy. Technology is no longer a service, it's an enabler. So really technology and business leaders need to come together, redraw the map, how businesses and functions will consume technology and realign on a business technology enabled product roadmap, if I were to use or a purpose roadmap. So really the change should be planned and the change should be continuous, so to say. And as part of that, possibly what business and technology leaders can do is have a champion driving this and focus on low hanging fruits, because ROI, so return on investment from such technology roadmaps, is also important for continued buildup of trust in investing in such transformation and initiatives. Second important thing I always say, once you have a plan, is communicate, communicate, communicate. So having a clear and consistent narrative of this transformation strategy is really important for the organization in terms of where the company is headed, what will be the new operating model, what are the rules of working together with each other. Thirdly, I would say always it should be starting small and but strategic. So look at low-hanging fruits, but also bring people who are technology enthusiasts from these cross-functional teams that you are setting for this transformation agenda. Lastly, I would add that we should look at leveraging the ecosystem, because I think the traditional way of working, wherein technology or product using technology was developed in-house, is, as I said, speed and volatility are important. And ecosystem with the digital natives, digital disruptors, is very important for a company to see what's out there, who would be the right partner rather than a vendor. So I think there is a strategic shift in terms of transformation. We should look for partners who can come together with us and co-create for value delivery to our shareholders.
So you're saying collaboration and communication are at most important when we are talking about today's work environment.
Yes, you got it up. Please, I will add cooperation, collaboration, and co-creation with this given accountability.
Okay, thank you, Rohit. Mr. Muthuswamy, so we have how will tomorrow's technology workforce be different from today's? Because how will jobs and roles change, and what are the skills and capabilities that are needed, and how can we upskill people on this?
So yeah, this will be somewhat an extension of the previous answer which I gave. As I mentioned earlier also, the changes are evolutionary, and there will not be necessarily a roadmap. And you may get in the hindsight, you may get a 2020 vision, but as you pursue, there will not be a roadmap. We need to quickly adapt to the change, and we need to learn things rapidly, and that's how we can stay on top of things. See, I'll just give you one personal example. Say, for example, COVID taught us many lessons on management. Actually, in the first few months of COVID, whatever we learned, it's more than what we learned in the previous decade, right? So suddenly nobody was able to go to the plants, and still some of the plants you need to run, whether it's a tractor plant, which is critical for the farmers, or chemical plants, which can't be just like that shut down. So then we learned how you can rapidly digitalize. Like, how do you digitalize your daily management? How do you digitalize your process management? And how do you digitalize your asset management? All these concepts were there before, and there were somewhat, some interest, but this COVID really accelerated the interest and willingness of all of us to go and pursue. So, in my previous role as a plant head, I had a certain restriction where I can't have more than a third of the workforce, and that was a plant which, it's a chemical plant which can't be just like that shut down. So we have to be very, very creative about how you digitalize your daily management, and also how do you use a lot of analytics and or even asset management? How do you get your real time asset health? All those things, in that matter of like 3-4 months, we put in place a three-pronged strategy of, like I said, daily management, process management, and asset management, all digital. And we also pushed on robotic process, or RPA, where we all the manual reports which were all made, to some extent they were all made redundant, where you had this RPA bots which goes and fishes data and populates that. So all these matrices and all these things, we freed up people from doing these jobs, because earlier we had the luxury of having people doing all these things and there was no any urgency to optimize them. But with the restriction, there was a big hunger to get all these things done. So, I mean, answering your question, were we on top of digital, like, before the COVID hit us, we were absolutely not. We didn't know a whole lot about digital. Maybe we had some academic interest, but never really got our hands dirty. But after COVID, we really embarked on a robust digital strategy, which actually proved to be a perfect business strategy as well, and also helped us mitigate the COVID to a great extent. So, long story short, Sujata, my answer to this is, there are a lot of technologies and things, other interventions, disruptive interventions. All these things will come and hit us. The thing is, how do we scan them? How do we learn quickly? And how do we make use of them? And how do we ride the wave? The smart organizations do all these things, and they are on top of it. Thanks, Sujata.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It is very important that we make sure that we choose the right technology and the right technology partner to transform our businesses. So coming to you, Rajesh, when we talk or when we discuss about AI, there is always a threat of robots replacing humans, and it's a common fear. And your new plant at Sri City, we saw that 29 machines being operated by 24 people in 3 shifts. So when it comes to integrating technology, the focus shouldn't be on replacing workers with machines. So how are you creating awareness on this aspect?
First, thank you very much. You visited our new facility last week, and we appreciate your valuable input. So, coming to your question at Panasonic Lab Solutions, so we have integrated automation in our manufacturing processes, and we have adopted some of these in our latest manufacturing facility, which recently started in Sri City, Andhra Pradesh, which you also visited. Now, what our experience has been, the automated processes are far more efficient and they save time. Like you mentioned, that 29 molding machines are being done by 24 people in 3 shifts. So ideally, 8 people are running 29 machines. And if I have to say other benefits, then automation in turn is also environment friendly and technology superior. I can share from my experience that we work on mass production, like in my business units, we are producing almost 550 million finished good pieces every year. And this needs deployment of huge manpower. And with such huge manpower, you carry risk of safety of human beings also, and also of the safety of machine. So in our new factory, we have focused on using technology which can be handled more efficiently by robots, like material transit from shop floor to warehouses, like through automated guided vehicles, AGVs, which were installed, or installing ASRS, which is automated storage and retrieval system in our stores, which was earlier handled by human beings, and where you can see the rack's length is almost 18 meters, and so you carry some kind of risk of human safety. So primarily, we have shifted to technology where no skills, a special skill is needed, and risk of accident was far more. So we have introduced Industry 4.0 standard facility, and this is supporting highly automated processes, technology-based manufacturing. And if I have to say that automation decreases number of accidents, also along with this, it improves throughput and increases labor productivity. So automation has also reduced our quality cost also significantly. So I will say Industry 4.0 has raised the standard of factories, and we can see a bigger shift in future towards a high-tech manufacturing as compared to regular factories. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Rajesh. When we talk about successful digital transformation, it's not just about speed. It should boost organizations' efficiency, profitability, and employment engagement. So, what are the strategies Blue Star has adopted to measure the impact of digital transformation in these aspects?
So basically at Blue Star, what we do is we measure the impact of digitalization in 5 major areas. These are human resources, then respective business operations. Third one is customer satisfaction, then sustenance, and fourth one is the most important thing is growth path. So if you look at one by one, so first to tackle with human resources, there are again 3 angles to it. One is competency, other one is excellence, and third one is motivation. So in terms of competency, Blue Star being no typical engineering company, we were focusing mainly on mechanical and electrical engineering all these years, maybe till last 5 to 6 years. But with the onset of a lot of new technology, electronics coming into picture in operating equipments and machineries, and also in our appliances, what we make. So that has actually opened the doors for us to have the more skill sets and give training which will facilitate the electronics, softwares, IoT, analytical tools. So these have become necessity actually. So what we do is we measure this by making a competency building matrix. So we have our own competency building matrix in Blue Star with respect to each of the skill level and each of the operating level in the company, whether he's in the management grade or whether he's in operator grade, whether he's working on the line or whether he's working from office. We have competency building matrix in place at Blue Star, and we measure the basic competency out of it for all the human resources. Second one is excellence. So from the areas of process improvements, then quality excellence, and then continuous improvements, we have certain internal benchmarks, and against the target, we measure the all the functions every month. The third one is excellence. So sorry, motivation. So the major thing is here give rewards, awards. Then we make people to participate in external competitions. We send people on various benchmarking visits through which what are benefits they are getting, and whether those benefits are getting utilized in our day-to-day operations or not, those are also monitored. This is the way we map the human resources. The second one is through mapping the operations, business operations, respective business operations. So basically here, the most important part is ROI, return on investment, with regards to various intended benefits, what we want to have. So how is our OE going on? How is our energy consumption? How is our equipment health, conditioning monitoring? How is our what you say product life cycle management, that is for the new product development? So these are monitored and measured through this. The third one is most important, customer satisfaction. So the internal and external customer satisfaction surveys are conducted. Then the outputs from those surveys are basically analyzed, and wherever action points are there, those actions are taken on the surveys. The fourth one is the sustenance. So the to ensure that human resources, then operations, and the customer-oriented KPIs basically are adhered to. So they are monitored on a day-to-day basis with real-time data in hand, and wherever required, we take actions after the measurement. The last one is the growth path. So how digitalization basically is facilitating growth of our overall business. So that is monitored by looking at the growth in efficiency, how effectiveness is there, or whether we are acquiring further competencies that for all the human resources, and thereby we are scaling the new heights. Our turnover, both top line and bottom line, are getting facilitated by digitalization. So that is the thing from my side at Blue Star.
They're coming to you. What are the management system that we should put in place to embed the new skills, technologies, and process in an organization?
I feel that skill mismatch has got a direct impact in the cost. And that's where technology can really play a big role and can help drive cost optimization through, let's say, seamless process automation. Again, let me quote an example of manufacturing only. So for manufacturing, it is extremely important to achieve their production target with an optimal cost. And that is possible when we have just the right skilled manpower available. The reason I'm insisting on the right skilled manpower is because if the employees are overskilled, it's a cost to the company. And if they are underskilled, then it is again a big issue, and it again leads to a impact in the cost, because the quantity produced would be lesser, they would not be produced properly, and it might need to go for rework, or there could be rejection during the quality check, etc., etc. And now we all know that with the variability in the production volume, we need to know in advance if there is any kind of a shortfall in terms of manpower or skill gap. And once we know that gap, because of the technological tool, we can drive two seamless process. If there is a shortage in skill, then an input can be given to the training process so that employees can be reskilled. And if there is a shortage in the manpower, then an input can be given to, let's say, HR and a recruitment process so that those employees with the required skill can be procured and they can be made available to the operation when required. Hence, I think that technology can really help drive the cost optimization through seamless process integration and help manage the skill well.
So coming back to you, Mr. Gupta, Rohit Gupta, how can organizations leverage technology to redesign the current work outcomes to focus on the exponential increase in productivity? And what does it mean to the cost to value, the meaning and the impact of it?
Okay, complex question, so I'll try to deconstruct a little bit in terms of how can organizations think about redesigning. So I would like to start really from what's happening. What's happening is technology is changing the landscape. So data was always there, but now we are saying data is the new oil, right? So because we have the potential of both the hardware compute and the analytical tools and skills to process this data to draw meaningful insights, which were not yet unlocked in the past. Data in itself is not driving value. It's what we are doing with the data, which is adding value either to the manufacturing process, to the way we design systems in the product delivery to the customer. So when we think about this, there is the data, there is the customer. So I talked about customer, that customers' preferences are getting shaped also by technology. So if I take the example again of an Amazon, it's not just ordering a product at a low cost and getting it delivered at home. It's also knowing at which stage of this order to delivery, where the product is, when I will receive it, possibly even getting a notification on exact time. And still as a customer, having the preferences that I can have it left at the door, I can have it delivered in my hand, the availability of information and available in transparent manner to break the silos within the organization. So, and really, if we were to look at, I think one of the keywords you said, how to redesign, we have to think in these three parameters and how these parameters are impacting the output of each of the work products that add to the customer experience, right? Because in the end, we are talking about customer experience. So I think looking at the technology and how it is enabling the operations, the companies first need to think about which activities are important. So let me take an example. For a company, if they sending the product to the customer or using sales-driven insights, these are activities still need to be performed. Traditionally, what role was performing is a different story. Which activities could be discontinued? So means here I would use the the example again from accounting, let's say there is receivables, right? Until now, there is a person who is putting this together and then possibly sending a reminder email that payments are delayed to customers or not. But this job today can be performed more accurately by a bot. So knowing which activities could be discontinued and can be performed by the bots. So if I take the product management function, means a few years ago, I'm just taking an example, there used to be configuration management function. The job was, there were so many different software functions. I come from automotive also, and typically there are several cycles to building the software work product. And there was a dedicated person whose job was configuration management. And the outcome was that you have a proper management around the different versions that the teams are generating, working geographically in the same location or different locations. But now this work outcome is no longer needed because technology has made it possible that this can be done automatically.
Okay. Mr. Deshpande, you mentioned about we creating our own system. Each company or each organization creates their own system of performance in terms of technology. So how can we harness technology solutions to ensure that we engage the right people in the right job at the right time?
So basically, the approach has to be step by step. What I mean is when we start digitalization, we need to select one particular area from which or the function from which we are going to start the digitalization, which would act as a pilot. We have to develop first the capabilities of the people who are going to be put on the job. We have to then start deploying the digitalization process through certain apps or softwares or certain IoT platforms as a trial run. Then we have to build a confidence amongst the people that this is the system which we can work with when needed during the process of transformation to digitalization. We need to tweak or modify certain softwares or certain platforms. We have to give input to those agencies who are implementing it. And by that way, we build in confidence in the people who are going to implement it. This will basically make the system approach correct, and the system will get implemented quite smoothly. The second step is actually basically to deploy it horizontally. When the people see that certain new platforms are getting implemented and are successful, and the confidence level is quite high amongst the people who have implemented it, automatically the cross-functional teams and the other areas where we want to implement, they basically have the initial confidence in place. So that helps to implement the softwares or IoT platforms or applications quite easily on those areas. The third one is success. People have to now decide that and accept the thing that we have. There is no other alternative but to have proper digitalization, use of data, use of analytical tools to take our business further. Gone are the days when everything was being done manual, everything was on the whims and fancies of certain people. Data was not transparent at a lot of places and cases. So gone are those days, and we have to be a clear-cut approach of having the data with us, use it suitably and transparently, and show to the public and the people in our organization that this is the way the growth can be achieved and the organization can sustain in long run.
The last question, Uday, what does it take to enable a seamless digital transformation of HR?
Let me tell you that digital transformation is normally we have seen that HR prepares that as a part of a journey. It has been purpose built, and normally, it has got very high visibility because it's aligned with the organization goal. So what happens is that once that digital transformation journey or charter has been prepared, HR needs to identify, let's say, right set of technological tools which can help. And that's where probably they reach out to us. What happens is that HR needs to ensure that there are two things which is done. One, this tool provides bigger return on investment that will help them, to get the right sponsorship. and maybe a best team from their side to get allocated to the project. And the second thing which an HR needs to do is to ensure that these technology tools are completely automated. There are very less or no manual intervention ideally, and it should drive a seamless process handshake. Just to give an example, starting with manufacturing, let's say all the time the manufacturing needs to have a visibility of the planning. Operation, let's say, needs to know in case if there are any kind of a variability or the changes into the plan, they need to have that variability available. And operation needs to know that if they are going to face any kind of a shortage in terms of, let's say, employees, manpower, or in terms of their skill, and that information seamlessly gets transferred to HR, where HR needs to ensure that either employees are hired or they are being reskilled so that they can provide it to operation. Plus, HR needs to also ensure that the employees are utilized equally and in a fair manner, and then laws of lands are adhered to. Plus, their work preferences are also been taken into the consideration. Now, when we talk about UKG kind of an automation, we have typically seen that, if there is a time and attendance automation solution, technology solution should actually completely take care, whether it is related to scheduling, time attendance, process automation, leave, overtime, comp off, allowances, and it should just provide a right output to the payroll for all the employees. And when it comes to, let's say, contract employee, then instead of payroll, it should give a right output for the contractor invoicing and billing. So this is how technological tool will be able to help implement the digital transformation journey. But my 2 cents would be for HR and for everyone who is doing the digital transformation is that process normally gets implemented, but it is extremely important that it is been adopted rightly. So when it gets implemented, the team is been given adequate training and it's been driven with a proper change management. And of course, towards the end, process needs to be continuously monitor, measure, wherever there is a scope of improvement, keep improving it. And that's how we feel that the digital transformation is a continuous improvement journey, and a technology tool like us can help achieve that.
Okay. There is a very interesting question that has come up. In manufacturing sector, we usually see there is a mix of old and new generation employees. So does data really help Gen X? Well, it just disappeared. Okay. How does technology help considering their experience and wisdom they bring in improving the organization efficiency?
Sorry for disappearing question. Actually, I was pressing enter and I had typed a response for the person and it went to him, I think.
Okay.
But I think the question really, I can repeat it for you because it has disappeared. It was
no, it has just come. Yeah.
Oh, but if you look at answer, there is a question there.
Yeah.
In chat box, there is an open, answered, and dismiss. In the answer category, the question is still there.
Yeah. Anyone else wants to give any input on this?
No, actually, Mr. Rohit wants to answer.
Well, I think I can say the answer which I sent to Mr. Pathak, but because I felt the question came privately, that's why I answered that. But I think the question is whether Gen X is enthused about the outcome of analytics and what it can offer in terms of increasing operational efficiency, productivity, whatsoever. And I think the answer is in the question itself. See, Gen Y is more enthusiastic, according to me, about the how part of, so how technology is looking at this data. So their interest is more in the how part of how this data is generating these insights. And I think Gen X is still, according to me, very excited. It's my own experience. They are actually happy, given their domain knowledge and wisdom, as the question says it, when it couples with these additional insights that data can generate by processing massive amounts of data, they can have actionable intelligence, make better informed decisions, which are giving results. So their focus is still results, very, very glued to results. So I think certainly in my view, Gen X is making very good use. And I can say that about a sugar plant where we delivered analytics in India, and it was so nice to see that it was the plant directors and the plant supervisors who were people who could possibly touch a machine and tell what's wrong, but still how they embraced the power of analytics for condition-based monitoring.
Thank you. Anybody else wants to add in?
So basically, it has transformed from a person-based experience to a system-based experience or system-based output. So you don't have to be dependent only on some of the people. So system would give you so much of data, so much of results that a lot many people can use it simultaneously. Then be dependent on the experience of some certain people. That is my answer.
Now, may I call upon Samir to present his inputs on this?
Sure. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I will share my screen. I have a quick presentation to make for all the participants. We discussed different aspects today in terms of what are some of the areas typically from the manufacturing standpoint that are very relevant not only today but also in the future to come. First and most important aspect is to ensure that there's a business continuity, achieving the operational efficiency and profitability, mitigating while we do that, mitigating the compliance risk and ensuring the employee well-being is another important aspect that is very relevant in today's day and age, especially for a manufacturing organization. Creating an ecosystem for partners and employees alike, so that they have easy access to the systems, the processes, and different policies that are relevant to them. And obviously, as we live in the COVID era, we have to keep adopting and evolving to the new normal, which is being thrown at us now. We at UKG have a very powerful platform called UKG Dimensions, which really helps different leaders, different team members across a typical manufacturing organization, which can help them achieve these some of the critical results. What is it that a leader typically looks for at any given point in time? On a day-to-day basis, they would want to know that how is my organization doing vis-a-vis various KPIs, that I want to achieve, a certain level of success and measurable outcome. These KPIs can be around overtime, it can be around productivity, it can be around let's say how much late the employees are coming. Any KPIs can be tracked in real time, using a very intuitive dashboards on UKG Dimensions platform. Similarly, as we have kind of discussed on multiple occasions, that just having a data really doesn't suffice. There is also required to be a very I would say a guided decision making, and insight has to come out. So on UKG Dimensions, we offer all the leaders and managers a virtual assistant. We call her Amy, which helps them take their day-to-day decisions around ensuring that their operations and business continuity are not getting impacted while taking certain decisions for their employee. Now, what happens from the operations, which is a key I would say uh, uh, player in this whole scheme of thing, is that in today's day and age they have to make sure that in terms of managing the variability that exists in the business, in terms of their production plan, they have the right set of people available at right place at right time. And the boundaries are blurring between having an on-roll employees, contract employees, and gig workforce. And that's where the UKG Dimension platform really makes their life very easy. Based on their day-to-day targets of production plan, system can actually generate a workload for them. It can tell them that what type of employee is needed at what time to achieve these production targets, and any seasonality that is associated with it. Not only that, it also helps them track the employees with diverse skill metrics and their proficiencies right out of the box. Another important aspect is minimizing the first hour productivity loss. Now this is a very critical area. When a shift starts, if let's say a shift manager or supervisor doesn't have a view in terms of how many employees were supposed to come vis-a-vis how many have actually come, it creates a lot of challenges in achieving their production targets for that particular shift. On UKG Dimensions, they get a real-time visibility in terms of how many employees were supposed to come vis-a-vis how many have actually come. And it also gives them a very easy to use drag and drop tools to find a replacement, to make sure that the production doesn't get impacted at any given point in time. Similarly, it is also very important to not only track the time that employee has spent within a shop floor or within the work area. It is also about the actual work that has happened. And again, on the UKG Dimensions platform, it gives that unified visibility to all the shop floor supervisors, the production managers, and to the leaders in terms of which employee has worked how much time and against which sort of work order and how much quantity that they have produced. So a very insightful information is available for them in the form of dashboards and in the form of I would say their time card, so to speak, in UKG Dimensions language. Talking about the HR and IR, we kind of looked at multiple aspects of it, having ensuring that laws of lands are kind of taken care of. And UKG Dimension basically takes care of that by providing them a centralized visibility across the organization on the compliance control, and it keeps giving them a proactive notification. It helps them, I would say, preventing any compliance violations from happening. And that way, any manufacturing organization can stay compliant with there any compliance laws, state specific rules and regulations that they typically have to follow. Having Uday touch base upon this point a while back, that having a very robust and automated time tracking will really improve, will free up basically the time office, the payroll team, and the managers. And that can actually boost their productivity by ensuring that the right I would say payroll is coming out from the system. And on UKG Dimensions, by applying different types of rules and policies for different set of employees, the entire process can be completely automated. And last and not the least, it is very important, is a paramount important for any HR or IR to be inclusive and fair to various types of employees who work within their premises, within their organization. And on UKG Dimensions, we have a very intuitive device we call IntusTX clocks, which doubles up not only as an attendance capture device but also as a self-service kiosk, especially for the employees who are working on the shop floor. It offers them different self-service options to manage their time, to manage their work-life balance, and see what are their how they are doing vis-a-vis the statutory compliances. Not only that, employees can be heard through various wellness surveys that can be set up in the system. And also having a safe and secure access for employees to enter. Like in the discussion, the point came up where there should not be any excess pass that needs to be generated. Employees should just come, they should see into the device, and they should just enter. So on UKG Dimensions, using IntusTX clocks, all these processes can be automated. And again, to make sure that we are living in a COVID era, so it is very important that in case if there is any a person detected with COVID symptoms, then you have a complete information on the contact tracing on basically which employees have been in touch with that particular employee to minimize any risk of infection. So these sort of data points and dashboards are available in UKG Dimensions, which can help a typical manufacturing organization, drive the employee equity and fairness. And all this is basically completely scalable to a solution extensibility. Our UKG Dimensions basically works hand in hand with multiple applications which are out there in the market through an open API. We can extend these, the data is, the platform itself is so secure and role based that these solutions can be extended to the external partners as well to manage their workforce. This is relevant for the contract employee setup, where a contractor supervisor manages their own set of employees to make sure that they are compliant. And the entire platform is based on the modern cloud, which can be accessed from anywhere, any device, by any sort of employee that we have. So, this is in a nutshell some of the value areas that UKG Dimension platform, offers. And we at UKG, our purpose is people, and we believe in partnering for life. And we can add a lot of value in any manufacturing organization that that we kind of engage with. That's about it that I had to share for today's session. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Amir. Thank you for giving an insight into what UKG offers to this to the manufacturing sector. Thank you, everyone, for being a part of this webinar. Thank you, esteemed panelists, to taking time out of your busy schedule and giving your inputs. And thank you, every delegate who has logged in today to listen to this webinar. And I would also like to thank UKG for supporting and partnering with Manufacturing Today to conceptualize this webinar and talk about this topic. Thank you, Uday. Thank you, Sameer. Thank you, Mr. Deshpande, Mr. Nandwani, Mr. Gupta, and Mr. Mukherjee. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.